welcome to our video series where we discuss the latest development in the UAE business environment. Today we have with us Mr. Janish, who is a tax expert on the new corporate tax to the UAE government has recently announced. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Janish.
Thank you, Yunus, for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here and share my insight about this great topic.
Great. So let's start with the basics. What is corporate tax and why the UAE government has decided to introduce it?
Actually, corporate tax is a form of direct tax that is to be imposed on the net income or profit that any business or other entities make from their commercial activities.
Okay.
The UAE government decided to introduce a corporate tax for several reasons. Firstly, they wanted to diversify their revenue sources and reduce their reliance on oil and gas, which are subject to volatility and uncertainty. Secondly, they wanted to align themselves with the global standards of tax transparency and prevent harmful tax practices that could erode the tax base and create unfair competition.
Okay.
Thirdly, they wanted to create a competitive and clear corporate tax regime that would attract more investment and business opportunities or activities to UAE.
Oh, I see. And then who will affected by this tax, and does it apply to all the businesses in the UAE?
Yes, this tax will affect all the businesses and individuals who conduct commercial activities under a license in UAE, regardless their legal form or ownership structure. This includes businesses in free zones, which were previously exempt from FTA or federal taxation. However, the UAE government has assured that it will honor the existing incentives and guarantees offered to free zone businesses that comply with all regulatory requirements and do not operate in the mainland.
Okay, so in the mainland market it won't be.
Yes.
So interesting. So what are the tax rates that business have to pay?
The UAE government has introduced a progressive rate structure for corporate tax. This means that different rates of tax apply to different levels of taxable income. The rate is 0% for taxable income up to 375,000 dirhams.
375,000 dirhams.
375,000 dirhams. And 9% for taxable income above that threshold, which is above 375,000 dirhams.
Oh, great. So that sounds reasonable. But are there any exemptions or the incentives for certain types of businesses or activities that are not subject to corporate tax and can benefit from lower rates to deductions?
Yes, obviously there are. There are some exemptions and incentives available under the corporate tax law. For instance, a business which is involved in the extraction of natural resources such as oil and gas or are actually exempted from the corporate tax because they are already subject to emirate level taxation at rates up to 55%.
55%?
58%. Also, dividends and capital gains earned by UAE businesses from its qualifying shareholdings in other businesses are also exempted from corporate tax, provided there are certain conditions they should meet. Moreover, certain intra-group transactions and reorganizations can be carried out with triggering corporate tax implications subject to approval from the FTA or which is Federal Tax Authority. Additionally, some public benefits are also there. Public entities such as charities, obviously.
Charities, funds, everything.
Charities, pension funds, investment funds, and government-owned entities can also apply for exemption for corporate tax. But
for exemption, if they are meeting certain criteria.
Meeting some certain criteria.
Great. So now you can tell us how business have to register and comply with the tax.
Yeah, sure. All the businesses and individuals who are subject to corporate tax, including those operating in free zones and mainland, must register for corporate tax with the Federal Tax Authority and obtain a corporate tax registration number. It's called a corporate tax registration.
Okay, TRN number you mean to say?
Yeah, like TRN number, there should be a corporate tax registration number. This number will be used to identify their business for tax purposes and file tax returns and pay tax liabilities. Some exemption holders may also be required for register for corporate tax if requested by the FTA or Federal Tax Authority.
Oh, I see. And how often do business have to file the tax return and pay the taxes?
As of now, businesses have to file annual tax returns and pay taxes on self-assessment basis.
Okay.
The deadline for filing and paying is 9 months after the end of the financial
It's
year.
after 9 months after end of every
For
financial year.
example, I'll tell an example. For example, if a business has a financial year that ends on 31st December 2023, it will have to file its tax return and pay its tax by September 30, 2024.
Okay, by September 30,
30,
2025. Great. So got it. So what are the consequences of not complying with the corporate tax law?
The corporate tax law imposes penalties for non-compliance such as failure to register, file, or pay or keep records. The penalties range from fixed amounts to percentages based on the unpaid tax or unreported income.
Okay.
The penalties can also be increased for repeated violation or aggravated circumstances.
Mhm.
Also.
I understand. And how does this corporate tax affect other taxes that business have to pay in the UAE, such as VAT or excise tax?
Actually, corporate tax is separate and independent tax from VAT or excise tax.
Okay.
Businesses have to comply with both corporate and VAT or excise tax obligations separately. Yeah. However, there may be some interactions between corporate tax and VAT or excise taxes in certain situations. I'll tell you an example. For example, VAT paid on purchases or expenses may be deductible for corporate tax purposes if they are incurred wholly and incurred fully or exclusively for that businesses.
Similar businesses.
Yeah, similarly, excise tax paid on certain goods may be deductible for corporate tax purposes if they are used on the production of taxable income. On the other hand, VAT or excise tax collected from customers or suppliers may be included in the gross income or corporate tax purposes if they are part of the consideration for the supply of goods or services.
Great. So, what are the corporate tax relief measures that the government has introduced for small businesses and the startups as well?
The UAE government has introduced a small business relief initiative that aims to provide support and relief to small and micro businesses, startups, and freelancers under the corporate tax. The initiative will lower their corporate tax burden and compliance costs by allowing them to claim a reduced tax rate on their taxable income up to 3 million for a limited period of time.
Okay, 3 million dirhams for a limited time.